So the question of the hour is this: should I help out my parents, even though they never really cared about me? They're my adopting parents, that's right, I'm adopted. I don't know who my biological mother or father is, but there's something that I need you guys to know. They've never treated me equally. They've never treated me fairly. And well, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to do something pretty stupid. It's been about 8 long years since I cut off contact with my parents, and now they desperately need my help. For the past 8 years, they've never once even sent a text to try to see how I was doing or where I was. Honestly, they did not care enough to even think about me. But now, when they needed something, they think of me. Is there any other person even here who would help them? I don't know. If you said yes, wait till you hear what kind of people they actually are. I'm going to talk about only 4 people here, excluding myself. I'll start by telling you who they are. I'm using fake names, by the way, if that's not obvious. Well, I'm Brian. I live with my fiancée, Ellie, and 6 years ago I cut off my life from my parents, Deborah and John, and my younger brother, John Jr., if I can even call him that. I say that because I was raised to believe that John Jr. and I, or JJ, are not brothers. Both of us were taught early on that I am not his sibling because I'm not my parents' actual kid. See, I was not born from them. As soon as I reached an age when I could understand what this meant, my parents told me I was adopted. They wanted me to be fully aware because they were not planning to treat me like their son at all. JJ was the only person they thought of as their son. I was more of an extra person who also lived with them. Now I can talk more about the adoption thing, but that's really not relevant. So I'll just tell you what they told me growing up. So my parents were having trouble getting pregnant, but they had not been trying for long. It was not like one of them was infertile or something. But right then, they had an opportunity to adopt a baby. The person who was giving them the baby could not raise it, and since both my parents were also getting the feeling that they might not become pregnant, they decided, you know what, let's adopt. But almost 3 years after adopting me, mother got pregnant and JJ was born. After he was born, my validity as their child expired, as they started thinking of me as an extra expense. Now they had their own blood, so they didn't have to focus on raising me. I'm not going to say that I raised myself. They didn't help, but they stopped acting like parents early on. They mostly let me do whatever I wanted, as long as it didn't affect JJ. All they cared about was him, and they rarely took a look at me. But for me, it was not as easy. See, for me, they were the only people I knew, blood or not, so I tried my best to get them to love me like they loved JJ. But as you can guess, I was never really successful. No matter what I did, I could never get them to care about me at all, like they did about their own son. I'm not going to say they hated me, but they definitely disliked me, and they never even tried to hide it. Because of how they treated me, JJ did not like me much either. I guess I shouldn't have been surprised. He's their son. He followed in their footsteps and treated me like an outsider too, which was the last thing I wanted. Even though my parents didn't treat me well, I always hoped that my brother would treat me like family, but he didn't, and it broke me. I remember one day I had a huge argument with my parents. I was 15 years old, and I got tired of their treatment and called them out. I told them that I had chosen not to be their child, and they told me that I had to understand why they could never think of me as their son. I asked them to just treat me like a member of the family. My father told me that blood will be blood, and there's nothing else that they can do about it. I still remember him saying that. Although now I find it hilarious that he said that to me, as a 15-year-old, it completely wrecked me. I remember being very sad that day, and the next day, deciding that I was done with this family. Calling them my family was an insult to the word. I didn't want to stay with them anymore, and since then, I hated spending time with them and tried my best to live without speaking to them. I started working a part-time job early on and started planning what I was going to do after college. I moved in with a friend so that my parents would stop calling me an extra expense. After that, I just never really looked back. I can't tell you how happy they were that I was moving out. I wasn't planning on cutting them off originally, but when I was leaving, my parents were the ones who told me to never return. They told me they were hoping I was not going to depend on them again and that they would not have to see me ever. I gave them a thumbs up, and I still haven't seen them since. For 8 years, I've enjoyed a peaceful life. I've actually built a pretty good life, and me and Ellie are even planning on getting married next year. Everything was going well. But a month ago, my parents started trying to contact me. I just ignored them. I did pick up the first call and found out it was father. He said that he and mother wanted to meet me, and I told him I wasn't interested. After that, I just kept ignoring their calls. I was curious, but I didn't want to really see them or even talk to them. You have to understand, I've spent a long time trying to forget everything that happened and build a new life. I had no reason to let them drag me back, plus I knew they never cared about me, and I was sure nothing had changed. But then, a little over a week ago, when I was cooking, my fiancée picked up the phone. I hadn't told her what was happening, because I knew how she would react, and Ellie is a very kind-hearted individual. It's one of the reasons why I love her so much and want to marry her, but her kind side can also be very frustrating. She spoke to my dad for a little while, and then came into the kitchen and asked me what was going on. As soon as she mentioned father, I knew I had messed up. She was angry that I was hiding this from her, as she knew how tough it was for me to let my past go. I explained to her that my parents were trying to force their way into my new life, and I didn't want it. She said that she understands how badly they've been treating me. But that doesn't mean I should do the same. I should at the very least hear them out and see what they need. I told her I wasn't going to help them ever, and even hearing them out is a waste of time. She said that I didn't need to help them, I just needed to find out what's going on. Well, at the end of the day, they are my parents, no matter what. I told her that they've never really been my parents, because they themselves have never wanted that responsibility. Ever. We had a huge argument about this, and since it was about my past and my experience, she had to eventually let it go, but she's not happy with what I'm doing, and she's making it known. She has requested that I just talk to them once and turn them down. That would be better than keeping them hanging. I don't want to do it, but I don't want to break her heart either, so I don't know what to do. Do I hear them out, knowing full well I want nothing to do with them, or do I just keep doing what I'm doing, which is ignoring them? Update 1. Hey, guys. It's been a few weeks since I wrote here, and a lot of things have happened. Let me just slide right into it. Firstly, let me talk about the response I got. Most of you guys said one of two things: either I'm being foolish, or my fiancé is being foolish for being upset. I understand where all this is coming from, but I can tell you it's wrong. I think we are both right in our own position. I don't want to see my parents because I resent them, and for the exact same reason my fiancé has been trying to push me to see them. She doesn't want me to live with all this resentment I have for them, and since it's been a long time, she wants me to just talk to them and get it over with. She fully believes that I'm ready to face them and let it go. We've talked about this a lot, especially after my father showed up outside my workplace. I guess I should start by telling you what happened there. A little more than a week after I wrote here, I was still not sure about what I should do, but I was leaning more toward not speaking to them at all. This was making Ellie upset, and we were arguing a little. Then, a few days later, I came out of work and found Dad waiting outside. He was smiling at me like it was going to be a happy reunion. He didn't look like he was in the best condition, which was really surprising to see. I was a little curious, so I decided to speak to him. He tried to make small talk with me, which annoyed me. I told him that I really knew he didn't care how I was doing, because if he did, he would have called once. He then tried to make excuses for everything that happened, and I told him that there's no excuse for what he and Mom had done to me. I told him that I hated my childhood, and I hated the fact that they were my parents, and I told him that nothing he says can make anything better. So I asked him to be truthful and just tell me why he had been trying to contact me for so long. He firstly said that he and Mom never meant to make me feel this way, which already made me upset. Then he said something even worse. He said that he and Mother had done so much for me and had actually put me in the position that I'm in today, and now he wanted some help from me, as he had no one else to go to. The way he said this really upset me, and I just refused to hear anything. I told him that I would rather jump out of a plane without a parachute than help him. He couldn't believe I said that. He told me they really needed my help, and I told him to leave. I also said that I never wanted to see his face again. I then went home. Seeing how I was, Ellie guessed something had happened, and when I told her what I did, she was not very happy. She told me I had the opportunity to end everything right there, but I refused to hear what was going on. If I had just given him an hour of my time, all of this would have been over. I told her that I didn't want to talk to him or even look at him, but no matter what explanation I gave, it was simply not enough. She was upset with me and really disappointed that I did not give him a chance. She kept bringing it up for a week, but after that she didn't really say anything, which was even worse. So I had a long talk with her, and she explained why she was so set on me doing this. She wants me to confront the demons that still haunt me and rise above them, and I cannot keep making her sad. So I've now decided to just talk to my parents once and see what's finally going on. I'll already say this, no matter what is happening, I'm not going to help them. So if you fall for this little story of theirs, don't start blaming me in the comments. In a few days, I'm going to be contacting my father and meeting them whenever they're finally free. Update 2. Hey guys, it's been a week, and you guys are not going to believe this. I hope you're ready to find out why my parents were trying to contact me so badly. After my last update, as I said, I contacted my parents and let them know that I was open to meeting once. But I made them promise that after, they would leave me alone, so Dad agreed. So I decided to see them. We met at a restaurant Ellie picked, and I convinced her to go there with me. Now Ellie doesn't really like confrontation or anything like that. She feels very awkward when stuff like that happens around her. This conversation was sure to get heated, so she was definitely looking for a way to get out of it. She tried to make excuse after excuse, but I didn't let her go, and she was persuaded to accompany me. She unwillingly joined me, and well, we went to see my parents. At this point, when we reached there, my parents were already waiting for us. We sat down, and Mother tried to do the same thing as Father and asked me how things were. So I just told her straight away that I knew she didn't care about me one bit, and asked her to get to the point. She got a bit offended and told me that even if she didn't treat me the same as JJ, she still cared about me a lot. I told her that if this was caring, then I wish I would never experience something like that again. She told me that I was acting like they treated me like a servant or something, and I told her that I wasn't saying that. They did give me a good education, but they still made me feel like an outsider, which did not feel nice. At that point, Father asked both of us to stop and said that we need to let it go. I then calmed down and asked him to just explain what's happening. Both he and Mother then explained their situation. So my parents made pretty bad investments and also got scammed out of a bit of money. This put them in a pretty bad situation, and after a while, they had to even sell the house to pay back some money. Their debt became worse and worse, and after leaving the house, they had to move in with JJ. He was the only person they could depend on, and he took them in. But the situation inside his house was not what they were expecting. Now I found out from them that JJ is doing well for himself too. He lives with his girlfriend. Let's just call her Anna. So Anna and JJ took them in, but the parents slowly learned that Anna was not happy to have them. After about a month, Anna started complaining about them and treating them poorly. She would openly say that they were just leeching money from JJ and her, which made Mom and Dad upset because of her attitude. They got into constant arguments, and this really annoyed JJ. He tried his best to keep the peace but got tired of the constant fighting. After a while, Anna gave JJ a choice: either help the parents move out or kick them out. Unfortunately, it wasn't a very tough decision for JJ to make, and he decided to kick the parents out of his home. Obviously, they were not happy and complained, and told him that he wasn't the son that they raised. Because of that, he also cut them off. As soon as Dad finished telling the story, I couldn't help but laugh at them. I almost had tears in my eyes. That's how funny I found this stuff to be. Ellie asked me not to laugh, and I asked her to give me a second. Trying not to laugh, I asked my parents how they felt when their own blood did this to them. They said that they didn't expect him to abandon them like this. Then I asked my mother, when he didn't help them, why did they think that I would? Then they started telling me how much of a better person I was than their own son. I asked them to stop and told Ellie that we're leaving. I told my parents that it was unbelievable that they thought I would help them. They begged me and said they had nowhere to go. I told them to go anywhere except my place, and after that I told them never to contact me again, and I left. Surprisingly, Ellie is okay with my decision and happy with how I handled things. She believes that I did the right thing, finally. So I believe after this my parents are not going to disturb me. I think I'm happy that I did this, to be honest with you. Update 3. Hey everybody, so I'm here for a pretty extended update. Are you ready? It's only been a few days, and it turns out I was naive to believe that my parents would let this go so easily. Turns out my father was keeping a secret indeed, and he's just trying to use it against me, but he has no idea that I already know. Let me explain. After my last update, I genuinely thought I was done with all this. I happily went back to work, but imagine how surprised I was when I found out that father had come to my home and spoken with Ellie and told her something ridiculous to get me to help him. I can't believe that he would stoop this low. So I came back from work and found Ellie confused. I asked her what's going on, and she mentioned that father had come to our place and spoken with her. He had actually left me a message, and I then asked her to tell me what it was. Well, Dad told her that if I agreed to help him and Mom with even half of the trouble they were in, he would take me to my actual birth mother. Yes, the woman who gave birth to me and gave me away. Dad knew where she was this whole time and never told me. All they had to do was say yes, and I would get to meet my real mom. That was the deal he left behind with Ellie, and he asked me to call him and tell him what I was going to do in a few days. I think he was expecting me to become emotional and agree to everything for a chance to see my mom. Honestly, it's a good plan because I would have done all that if I had not already met my actual mom. See, I met her. I also actually got to spend time with her, my mom, my real mom. She already told me everything that happened, and I've already made peace with it. And you know, that's also why I didn't even mention this here. Throughout this time, I didn't feel it was important enough to bring up. But I guess father wants to bring it all up, which has made me really curious because my biological mom isn't here anymore. And I don't mean the city or the country, no, I mean she's gone. She passed away 5 years ago. So I'm curious to see the person he's going to have me meet. I think by that it's clear that I decided to accept the deal that he left behind. So, with that, after thinking about it for a bit, I called him up. I told him that I was ready to help him if he let me meet my mom. I even pretended to be emotional, and he's probably thinking his plan worked out. He said he would take me to her next week, and I asked him to also bring mom, because I wanted her there too. He was a bit surprised, but he agreed. I guess he has no idea I know the whole truth, and I'm going to make him regret trying to play with my feelings like this. Imagine if I didn't know the truth. He would actually deceive me by having me think a random woman is my mom. Do you really think a person like this deserves my help? I think not. I'll let you know what happens. Update 4. Hey guys, this is going to be my final update. It's been a week, and well, let's get into it. A few days ago, father asked me and Ellie to show up at a woman's house a bit far from our home. It was like a 5-hour drive. So we left immediately, and once we reached there, we found mom and dad waiting for us. Dad took us to a small house, and there was a woman waiting for me. She claimed to be my mother and gave me some sad story about how she was young and could not raise me, and gave me away to Dad. I held her hand and asked her how much Dad was paying her to do this. She looked shocked and didn't answer me, but she did break her character. Father asked me what I was talking about, and I then told him that we had one chance to tell the truth to everyone right now, but he refused and said she was my mom. So I told everyone to follow me, saying that I would take them to meet my actual biological mother. Both mom and dad were surprised, but they did follow me. Fortunately, the place was only about an hour and a half away from the home he brought us to. Every single person was surprised to see a graveyard. I took them straight toward the grave. Ellie was holding the flowers, and I placed them on the grave, and as soon as father read the name, he started sweating. He couldn't believe it, and asked me how I even knew. He didn't realize what was happening and asked me to stop. He said he would never ever bother me or do anything else. I told him that I'd already given him a choice and that now it's too late. Mother and Ellie had no idea what was going on. See, Ellie knew a bit about my mom, but even she didn't know the whole truth. While Dad was begging me not to say anything, I told them what I had found. So, a few years after I moved out, I was contacted by a woman who was on her deathbed. She was not doing well, and the doctors were saying that she was not going to live for more than a month or two. She told me that I was her son, and I, of course, didn't believe her, but she knew everything about me as a child, and also about Dad. She even had photos that proved that I was her son. I spent the next 2 months with her until she passed. She told me that she was very happy at the end of her life. What I found out then was that my father was my actual dad. He had an affair with my biological mom, but he had to take care of me when I was born. She was not capable and did not have much money, so she threatened to expose their affair if he did not take me in. Since he was also in need of a child, he felt that was the right decision. He then took me in, and you know the rest. His only rule was that she was not to contact me after he took me in. But after Mom found out that I cut him off, she contacted me. I can't tell you how much it made me upset to find out that I was actually my dad's own son, and he had just treated me like this for no reason. But over the years I worked through it and did not feel like telling my mom the truth. But Dad forced me to do it, and after my biological mother passed, I buried her at the place where we were standing. As soon as I finished telling everyone this, Mom looked at Dad and asked him what was going on. Dad had nothing to say, and she asked him again if what I said was true. Dad could not even come up with an excuse. He just said he was sorry, and Mother slapped him. She told him not to show her face again and left him there with us. Ellie didn't know what to say, and just asked me why I had not told this to her. I told her that I felt it was not really that important. Then Dad looked at me with tears in his eyes and apologized for everything. He begged me to help him, and I told him it's too late and left him there. He hasn't tried to contact me since, so hopefully he's going to let me go in peace now. Ellie and I are now trying to go back to our normal lives. Thanks for being interested.